Hello, welcome again, everybody, to the Minnesota Civic Vibecast. I am your host, Mark Seidwin, and I am joined today by a very special coaching guest, Miss Eva Potvin. Welcome, Eva.
Thank you. Hi. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. So, for you guys, just to kind of set this up, this doesn't happen very often, but a group of boys from Eva's high school team actually reached out and they said, "We love our coach so much, you have to have her on the podcast." I thought that was awesome and a great way to start.
I know. I didn't expect that. I'm honored and
You
excited.
should be. To get a boy to do anything proactively is a freaking miracle, but to do something like this is outstanding. Why don't you start off by giving everyone just a little background in your swimming and your swimming career and how you got into coaching, please?
Yeah. So I grew up over in the East Metro, the Twin Cities, so Minnesota born and raised.
St.
And
Paul girl.
St. Paul, yeah. Like Battle Creek, if you know that
Yep,
area well.
I'm with you.
And I went to Hillmurray High School. I've been swimming club since I was 9, which is actually really
Okay.
fun because my parents wanted me to play hockey. All my siblings played hockey, my mom was a figure skater, all of that, and I just kept going back to swimming.
That's awesome. Good choice. Good choice.
I had to play a full season of hockey before I was allowed to fully swim.
Yeah. At least you got it out of the way young.
That's true. Yeah, and so I actually ended up getting into coaching because I had to deal with a lot of chronic pain and, like, injuries when I was in high
Oh,
school.
bummer.
Yeah, starting at age 13, it was kind of embarrassing at club meets because I would need help getting across the pool deck and stuff, but I started coaching because I didn't think I would get to swim again. And I ended up figuring it out. I still have chronic pain, I'm always going to, but
Yep.
I ended up getting to swim college out in New York, so it was really
Oh, where in
fun.
New York did you swim?
Oswego State University. Yeah.
Oswego State. What if I
Oh
had told you I've been to Oswego many, many times?
oh my gosh, wait, I
We'll talk.
that
We'll
was
talk about that afterwards. All right. Very familiar with the Oswego area, or Oswego, as they like to say up there.
yeah.
Um, awesome. So you got done with college, and then you came back to Minnesota. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, I got done with college, I came back to Minnesota, and I started working in epidemiology and was not good at coach.
I don't even know what that is.
Um, Study of disease and, like, how it
Okay.
spreads.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. Fair. Little COVID preparedness.
Yeah, I was so thankful it was after COVID because
Okay.
I
Good.
graduated 2022, so
Okay. You made it past COVID.
I
So
made it.
epidemiology out. Then what?
I went back to school. Well, actually, I started working in emotional and behavioral, like, intervention at Eden Prairie, which is how they
Okay.
found my resume. And started pushing me to coach for them. And Sam Kendall, like I have mentioned before, just really started hitting up my email and my phone number, being like, "Hey, you should coach, you should coach, you should coach, you should coach." And I was gonna give up coaching because it just felt like I reached a point where I didn't feel rewarding because a lot of the coaching that I was doing, I didn't have a voice.
Interesting. Talk a little bit more about that. What's coaching without a voice look like?
Like, any ideas I had were not considered. I was just supposed to show up, do what they wanted me to do, and then I left.
A glorified lifeguard and set reader.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's not how an assistant coach should be. That's not how you develop coaches, people. Anyone listening out there, that's BS. Don't ever do that to your assistants.
That is exactly what I had been doing, so much so that, like, I had another coach, like, literally tell me to calm down one time because they were teaching, like, a technique wrong, and I was like, saw a shoulder injury ready to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
And so then Sam took me under his wing, and it was really collaborative, and I kept, like, building those skills and building confidence to the point that when Sam stepped down, like, I wanted to try my hand at head coaching.
Excellent. And head coaching, your head coaching career has been in high school. Where have
Mhm.
you been coaching and for how long?
I've been coaching at Eden Prairie high
Okay.
school-wise for 3 years, for the boys, 2 years assistant, 1 year head coach, and then head coach for
Okay.
the girls for 1 year. I actually did 1 year with Wayzata as well before going to Eden Prairie.
Excellent. Boys or girls?
Boys.
Oh, very cool. So you got to work with some decent coaches then. You work with Sam, obviously, who's at Prior Lake now, if I
He's at
remember
Prairie
correctly.
Lake. Yeah, yeah.
And then with the boys was Mr. Plummer coaching.
Mr. Plummer is not coaching, but I, like,
Okay.
No plumber
Yep.
because he's actually friends with a guy that played piano at my parents' wedding. So, like, I
Sounds
don't know
made up.
who
I'm
this
not buying
is.
that. You don't know him at all.
Seriously, like, I don't think he
Made
realized
up.
that I met him when I was, like, 9.
I'm sure he remembers it.
I don't know.
Probably the highlight of his career, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's the first couple of years of coaching been like for you in high school? What have been the
Um,
positives and what have been some of the challenges?
the positives, honestly, definitely, they outweigh all the challenges and negatives. I'm just really honored with, like, the group of kids that I get to work with every single day. Um, like, this last banquet was so sad. Um, but it's just, like, getting to be in a collaborative sense with them, because that's kinda how I approach coaching. Like, at the end of the day, they know that what I say goes when I'm making decisions with relays and when I'm making decisions with lineup. But if they and, like, when I'm writing a set on the board or writing a workout. But I always welcome them. I say, "We may still not reach a decision where I'm changing my mind, but as long as you approach me respectfully, I wanna hear what your thoughts are and what you're thinking and what's going through your head." And that has been really good to see. It's been building the kids' confidence and also really pushing them to be like a collaborative team no matter how good you are. I think that's one of the things we do really well is that we have, like, our state level swimmers, they're down at the end of the lane cheering for a kid that's never swam before. We have actually had a lot of kids join that have never even passed swimming lessons that now, like, do 100 or 200 or, like, wanna be better or joined club after. And so those are some of, like, the really amazing things that I think I get to see.
That's amazing. I got to be honest. I shouldn't say not a lot, but I know quite a few coaches that wouldn't take that on, right? They want kids that can swim. They want to build this great team and blah, 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 blah. That's just not coaching, right? Coaching is
Mhm.
whoever comes through that door and wants to be a part of your program is willing to follow along with the guidelines. You're going to coach them best you can.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you do that. And that's a really mature thing. Do you have any issues with having such a narrow age gap between you and your athletes or student athletes? Have you found any challenges with that?
I have not found any challenges with that. I think that I do a really good job at, like, establishing what my boundaries are and
Good.
really making sure that they know what they're allowed to talk to me about and what they're not, and when they do cross lines, they know it right away. And so they know, "Okay, I overstep," and they step back, and I actually think that's allowed for like, I've had a lot of kids come to me, obviously, I'm not gonna, like, say who, but have come to me with, like, mental health issues or family issues that I've been able to be a mentor or help them through or reach out and contact resources and services that I think if they didn't have an idea what my boundaries were and they didn't feel like they could trust me, they wouldn't come to me.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. That kind of approachability factor is really important in coaching. And I think that's some people are born with that skill, but others really have to work on developing it. And it's tough because you do want to set a boundary, but you want them to know that there are some instances where we can go a little inside that boundary if it's really important.
Mhm.
And you might be the best resource as a coach for them in that point in time. And that's really takes a nuance to kind of manage. So
Yeah.
congratulations on not mastering that, but at least getting a really good start on that. As coaches, we never really master anything, I don't think. I think we're always learning. But yeah. What have been some of the challenges that you've had?
I think some of the challenges have been well, especially if I think about more of the girls, is like they've had a lot of coaches in the last few years that
Sure.
trust building was really big and making sure that they could trust me and know that I'm not gonna, like, leave in a year because they, like see, it's like one of my kids said they've had 4 coaches across their 5 years on the team.
Yeah. That's not unbelievably uncommon,
Yeah.
sadly. But yeah, how'd you build trust with them now? What was some of the things that you did to help establish because trust is hard building and not to be sexist in any way, shape, or form. But I found with girls' teams, trust is the first thing for sure. If you don't
Yeah.
have that, no matter how smart you are, how talented you are as a coach, and all that stuff, it's not going to matter because they're not going to buy in. So trust is
Yeah.
the first thing. So what are some of the tools you use and some of the activities you did to help build trust with them?
I think that it's kinda goes back to that boundary setting that I was talking about before too, in like, I didn't walk on deck wanting to be their friend. I think and if I'm talking on girls' team versus boys' teams, if you walk onto a girls' team's deck and you try to be their friend right from the get-go, then they're gonna walk all over you later. And I'm saying that as somebody that was on girls' teams. And so I, like, made sure that they knew, like, where my lines were, but then I also took the time, and we didn't necessarily jump in, like, with the hardest sets, like, every single day. Maybe they would argue that I did, but I didn't.
We know better.
And I, like, got to know them as people outside of the pool, and I
Yep.
think showing genuine investment in who they were is what made them, like, wanna trust, and, like, a lot of them came to me with injuries, and they had mentioned, like, a lot of their when they were injured before, they were just told to leave, and I was like, "Okay, like, I don't want you to leave. How can we accommodate? How can we change?" 'Cause I do think that that's something that I think should shift. I ran into that with my chronic pain a lot, where it was like, "Oh, you're injured, then you're done. Like, you can't be here. You swim through your pain and hurt yourself further, or this isn't for you," which I don't think should be the way that we go about it.
No, and I think as a coach, you can probably find a dozen activities for them to stay engaged with the program that doesn't involve with them swimming at practice,
Yeah,
right? Just because you're hurt doesn't mean you need to disappear. You're still part of the team. I'd
exactly.
like to tell a story. I had a kid my first year who, after a week, found out he had a heart arrhythmia and he couldn't swim. But he was a captain and he came to practice every day and he helped coach every day and he helped cheer every day. And by the end of the year, honestly, he's been one of the most impactful athletes I've ever had. The guy never swam a meet for me,
Yeah,
right? But his ability to be there, be present, be engaged, provide leadership, provide support, that stuff's really important. And sometimes it's even more important than what you can throw down in 100 free,
100%. If you
right?
can't be a leader, then, like, where did that seniorship, where did that captainship come from too? Like, you should be able to move men and motivate people and, like, want everybody to feel included.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's on the horizon after you've got your feet wet? You've got a year, you're all done, you're ready to turn them over to a new coach and no?
No,
No, okay, good. I was just checking. Just checking. We like do a little hypocrisy check here every now and then. What do you got planned for the next year? How's next year going to be better than
uh, I think that we are building really good team cultures. Our main goal is to kind of build the divide between JV varsity and then also diving and swimming. We've been really kind of pushing, like, making sure that our divers know what's going on in the swimming pool, and then our swimmers know what's going on in the diving well, and they know what is good for each other. They want to be at everything and cheer, and then also kind of just making some bigger investments as a team. Like, our the year before joined, our, like, video recording for the diving well broke, and so we've been,
uh
like, working at fundraising for that so we can set up the delay and, like, kind of just expanding our team out, making sure that everybody has the equipment that they need, and yeah, just pushing that way. My main goal is, like, can every single athlete get a personal best or a PR in a season?
Yeah,
Every single athlete so far has.
that's awesome. Yeah, I had been following along as I tend to do with most all swimming,
Yeah.
sadly, because I'm a swim nerd. And probably about maybe 4 weeks into the season, I put a little asterisk next to the Eden Prairie boys that said, keep an eye on these guys,
Mhm.
right? Like, I don't know where they're going to go, but they seem like they have the foundations of some stuff going on, like
Yeah.
scrappy swims, and stuff like that, like things you see on paper. You're like, these guys are not bad. I think they got something. Do you have a lot to build on next year for the boys?
Yeah, we do. We have, like, a really large class of juniors, which are really
Oh
talented.
boy,
I know.
that's
But we
awesome.
also have 7 8th graders, so they're gonna be freshmen next year, and so, like,
Yeah,
okay, we're losing a lot, we're gonna have a big senior class again,
yep,
but we're gonna keep building.
that's awesome. What are some of your pipelines to get kids into your program typically in Eden Prairie?
Um, we get a few West Express, we mainly get Fox Jets, we get a few
Yep.
Aqua Jets, but mainly Fox Jets or West Express, I would say, and
Sounds like
then
you had some kids that are in no club whatsoever, right?
most of our kids are no club.
Which is okay.
Yeah, and they still come in and, like, they train really hard, and we've had a lot of kids actually go from no club to then joining club, so a lot of our girls
Yeah.
did that this year.
And I think, and I'm probably the club state when I say this, club swimming is not a mandatory thing, right?
Mhm,
I love for kids to have balance in their life. And if for some kids that love swimming endlessly, swimming all year round is great. For
mhm.
some kids, they need a little more variety and they need to swim some and then do something else and do something else and come back to swimming. Otherwise, they get burned out really quick, right? It sounds like you have a good mix of both. but you definitely have some kids that are swimming club, and that's great if that's what they enjoy. And I think you as a coach play a large part in them enjoying swimming, right?
Yeah. I think that if we lose, like, the fun, then like, the retention's gonna go down, and like, swimming amounts, especially in the male side, have been going down, and if we're not keeping it fun and we're keeping it, like, a place where they wanna get better, then what's the point?
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. So, what's fun look like for the Eden Prairie girls and the Eden Prairie boys? What's the Eva Fun potion?
Well, I try to do, like, a question of the day, which they really enjoy, but then also they do a lot of, like, team bonding outside of the pool, pasta dinners,
As I
Saturday.
say, the boys usually revolve around some sort of food.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
girls tend to be a little more creative, but
The girls have, like, so many, like, little field trips that they do, or they'll do, like, secret swimmer gift bags and stuff. I would say that, like, really it's just, like, the banter on the pool deck, like, as well, because 'cause they're going through a hard set, but if they're able to, like, lift each other up and, like, they have some hard sets. I think every single senior mentioned at least I think they mentioned our Christmas Eve set, which, like, I feel really bad about now, but
why?
it was just really hard.
So what? Makes a great story. No one died, did they?
No one died, but we had the
No one
bonobo
died.
swimming with us.
Yeah, no one died. That's the main qualifier of where you've gone too far. If someone died, then yeah, you might want to rethink it for next year. Otherwise, it's just you're helping them.
Yeah. Yeah. They had, like, a basketball one-on-one tournament too at one point,
Oh
like, the
boy, swimmers playing basketball sounds like 15 sprained ankles.
yeah, thank God that that didn't happen.
Yeah, that sounds a little dicey.
Yeah.
Cool. Who are some of the people you rely on to help guide you through coaching? Do you have any mentors out there? I know you mentioned Sam, but
Mhm.
who's kind of your support system? That's one of the things I like to talk about with coaches is have a board of directors you can rely on to help you when you need it. Who are some of the people you lean on?
I mean, obviously, I lean on my athletic department, but actually think one of the biggest supports that I have is my high school head coach that,
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah.
Who's that?
S
Let's name
Susan
drop.
Susan Lee,
Okay.
I don't know if you ever heard or met her.
I have not, but I'm sure she's a lovely person.
She was Hill's, like, head coach until the end of my senior year,
Okay.
but she is, like, super gifted. She knows, like she was one of those coaches that was tough, but you knew that, like, push came to shove, you could, like, talk to her, and so she's given me, like, a lot of guidance and, like, "Hey, this is what it was like when I was young and trying to become a head coach and trying to, like, have confidence and, like, self-esteem in what I'm doing," and so she's been really helpful in that, and then also just, like, people not related to swimming have been really helpful.
They can be. Absolutely. Coaching is coaching.
Mhm. I don't know, like, I can nerd about the swimming, I can look at technique and everything, but people that just, like, lift me up and they're like, "You need to do what you think is best," and, like, solidify that have been really good.
Yeah. I mean, you can master all, you can watch YouTube videos and go
Mm,
swim, TV and all that stuff, but swimming's a relationship business. Coaching's a relationship business, right? You have to have a base set of skills, but unless you can bring the personality to it, it's kind of pointless.
yeah, yeah.
Very cool. All right. Another question for you.
Okay.
What's something we could change in high school swimming to make it better, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I think that there needs to be more accessibility between coaches, but then also just for athletes that have not done the sport or athletes that are from different backgrounds.
Interesting. Tell me more about that. Tell me more about that.
I mean, historically, like, if we look at swimming as a general whole, it's been a sport for affluent communities.
Yeah, it's a
Uh,
country club sport, hands down.
100%, and then also for kids that are not or, like, are able-bodied a
Yep.
lot of the time too, and so I think that we need to just do more to, like, make it more inclusive and to make it more accessible. One of our goals right now as a team with our fundraising is to make it so that caps, suits, and all that is covered, and, like because that way people can join and they don't really have to worry about that initial entry cost
Yeah.
until gets to, like, they're so good that they need a fast kid because I can't buy tech suits for everybody.
Yeah.
But even
We
like
have a
that
very good hand-me-down program for your very first tech suit that used to be somebody else's.
I know, we've literally been collecting tech suits that
Yep.
people don't anymore too. So
No, that's a great. I mean, most kids aren't going to go on to swim in college, and if they do, they're probably going to be getting a new tech suit somewhere along the way. And those
mhm,
old ones they've gathered or grown out of make a great backstock for those kids that just want to try one for the first time and don't want to drop $300-400 or can't drop that kind of money. Right? That's
yeah.
an absolute accessibility barrier.
Yeah, like I definitely think about even just pool time. If you can afford pool time, then you're able to have like your JV practice at a different time than your varsity or you have middle school and high school, but if you don't have that ability,
Yeah.
then you can't expand your program in the same way.
Yeah, that's interesting. And something I know I want to spend a lot of time on is working with communities on how to better balance and maximize pool time. I know areas that do it really well and they turn their aquatics programs into, I'm not going to say ungodly profitable, but at least not profitable.
Mhm.
And then there's ones that are kind of stuck in the way that they've always done it for 50 years that basically run their aquatics into the ground because the pool is just never accessible at the right time for the right groups.
Yeah. Well, and then even outside of that, like I know on our boys team this year, we had an athlete on our team that needs extra support in school and like
Hmm.
needs extra support at the pool and all of that. But they were super, super successful in what they were able to accomplish. All of our boys rallied behind them as well, but I don't feel like you see that as often as it should be, like, because there's PCA support or maybe coaches aren't accommodating, like, we 2 hours was a lot for this athlete from the get-go,
Yeah. 2 hours
and
is a
so
lot for this coach.
yeah, I know. So we ramped up, like, 15 minutes we started at an hour, 15 minutes each week until we're doing the full 2 hours, but I know that there is a lot of coaches out there that wouldn't be able to juggle that and wouldn't be able to accommodate for that, or, like, they
Might not
wanted
want
us
to because they don't see the value in it, right?
exactly.
And there's some of it out there. I hate to speak like that, but I know that exists. It's
Yeah.
not the norm, but it's there. Too much of a hassle. I got other kids to coach, right?
Mhm.
No bueno.
I think yeah, I agree. Like, I've seen that a lot. I've seen that in just, like, how certain coaches have commented on athletes' bodies or, like, just a lot of different things, and we need to, like, stop looking at, "You need to look this way or be this way to be a successful athlete."
Huh. Yeah, no, I can't agree with you more. That's super insightful stuff.
Yeah.
For sure. And it gets me thinking. Do you think also when we're talking about kind of, and I don't want to say underserved populations, but people or groups that have more of a challenge to get into swimming, there's things
Mhm.
that we can do earlier on in the program? Like we're talking high school swimming, right? And when you get to seventh and eighth, ninth grade, great. We want to accommodate, but what about earlier? Do you think there's barriers there to get them involved in swimming at earlier ages as well?
I mean, 100%, 100%, less so out in suburbs, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I
But
grew up on the mean streets of Minnetonka. I get it.
But, like, definitely, like, especially if you're looking at non, like, white populations being, like going back to the 1960s, being barred from swimming pools, like,
Yeah.
it's continued to have a ricochet and less likely it's, like, way less likely that a kid learns how to swim if their parents don't know how to swim.
Yeah.
So, if we
Yeah,
could
and I
start
think we
yeah.
have many, many examples of programs that used to be more suburban based programs whose
Mhm.
demographic has changed over the decades and now are more in this kind of a diverse setting where they have to now figure out how do they, have those things out there to get people involved in swimming at any level. At an early age is obviously preferable, but even at the seventh grade, eighth grade, when they may never have swam before, we may be their only opportunity for them to learn that life skill. And that to me is as important as winning anything in swimming.
Yeah, because it's a survival skill at the end of the day.
It
Like,
is.
yeah,
It
yeah.
is.
Like,
Very cool.
I had
Go
a
ahead.
coach say recently or not recently, this is like a year, a little over a year ago. They said directly, like, "If you want your team to be recognized, get faster." And I think that that makes sense, but also, like, we're very fortunate that we have the community center and we have the access that we have.
Yep.
We have access to our, like, gym if we're at the high school in the mornings, but if you were saying that to a team that does not have that ability or does not have the same amount of access, then saying just get faster and in order to be recognized to me is very narrow-minded. So,
Yeah. No, I agree. I do a lot of work and looking at retention when it comes to swim programs in high school. And to me, that is a gold standard metric, not for everybody,
Mhm.
There are some programs out there that have so many kids that would love to swim that they have to turn people away, and
Yeah.
they're going to have some turnover. But when you're a lot of these other programs are looking just to kind of fill the pool, your ability to keep people from seventh grade to eighth grade all the way through their senior year is
Mhm.
paramount, right? That is a key metric. And I see the most successful programs out there that don't have the benefit of having endless supply of swimmers have high retention. A lot of that goes to the coaching, and it goes to the culture. And it
Mhm.
goes to creating a place where kids can come and be active and be happy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to win squat,
Mhm.
and that's okay.
Yeah. That's just, like, shifting what your idea of success is.
Yeah, I think a lot of us need to do some of that, right? And look at it. And swimming fast is certainly successful too. I don't want to poo poo that. I don't want to say that I don't want my kids to get faster. And if I have a group of very talented kids that are motivated, sure, I want them to achieve as much as they can, but that's secondary.
Yeah. I
I
agree
don't
with
want them to kill each other to do it.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. I even have, like, really fast kids that they get faster and then they continually, like they have a new goal, but then they're still disappointed because they didn't hit that next goal. And I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, let's back it up. Let's look at it as a full
Yep.
season. You got continually faster throughout. Okay, you didn't drop another point 0.2 in your 50 free at this, like, end of the season meet, but you started a second and a half slower."
Yeah,
So, like, we need to shift that. We need to see it as a grand total rather than just
totally. And I think one of the great life lessons swimming teaches is there is so much, and I'm going to air quote failure, right?
yeah.
You don't get the perfect swim, which I've never had one in my life. There's always some where I'm like, yeah, I could have gone a little faster. But how to take that, appreciate it, take some learnings out of it, get back up on the horse and ride again.
Yeah,
That skill in life, it will come up over and over and over again. And I think swimming helps you learn that if you learn it properly, right?
yeah,
At an early age and sets you up in a good spot for life.
yeah,
Well,
100%.
it has been awesome talking to you, Eva. You
Yeah.
are a light when it comes to coaching. I cannot wait to see what the EP boys and girls do over the next year. And I hope to have you on at the end of next season too, so we can talk about what's next.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it is the athletes that are doing the work. It's the divers, it's the swimmers. So I'm just happy to be a support and thank you for having me on.
Yeah. And one final thing that I've learned in coaching, if the athletes are successful, that's good coaching. If
Yeah.
they are struggling, that's just bad parenting. Stick with that theory, you'll go far.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.